to everyone. Good afternoon to the ones in Europe, and good evening to the ones in Asia. Um, Welcome to the new webinar that the Innovation in Law Studies organizes in order to discuss the most interesting topics related to innovation in legal education. Today's topic is a fascinating one, legal tech labs. These are institutions that many universities are setting up, and we believe that it's interesting to listen to the experience of those who are already setting one or have already set one. And so we have today two examples. Unfortunately, our third speaker, Eric Rincon, is not going to be able to attend. He has got some health problems, but he has sent out a video that I will play in some minutes. And let me tell you a little bit about the rules of our webinars. So these webinars are done to generate discussions. This means that we invite the speakers to tell us their point of view, but once they finish answering the questions that we pose, and in this case there are going to be 3 questions, we are going to open the microphone to all of you. So the idea is that you show us our beautiful faces as well. So you put the video on and you take the mic and you ask or you comment or you give your view as well. So the room will be yours as well. Everything is going to be recorded. So please, if you don't want to say things that you don't want to be recorded, please then don't talk, because it's for us, it complicates our lives a lot to start editing the video after this. And during the speakers' time, we let them have the room. So we ask you to switch off your microphones and videos so that we can see only the 2 of them. But then afterwards, as I said, please put the video on so that we know you and introduce yourself. We are working hard to create this fantastic community of people who are worried for the future of legal education and who want to offer their point of view and their ideas to improve it. If anyone wants more information about the Innovation in Law Studies Alliance, don't worry, because I'm going to now share with you my screen before introducing you to the speakers and tell you a little bit about the Alliance. So let me share it. 1 second. Here I am. Can you already see my, yeah, okay. So this is the title of our webinar of today, and about us. So what are we? We are now a group of universities, at the moment around 18, from very different countries. We have universities from Colombia, Ecuador, Mexico, France, Poland, Spain, South Africa, etc. I don't want to mention all the countries because I probably forget several, so I prefer to stop now. And all our universities share the same view. And the view is, in order to transform education, we have to do global activities. So the idea of the Innovation in Law Studies Alliance is to do things together. I tell you news. Last week, we had our first Congress on Innovation in Legal Education. It was organized spontaneously by one of our members from Russia. And we helped them to spread the word. And it was nice. There were a lot of speakers from different countries. I know that many of them came through us. And several things were presented during this symposium on innovation in legal education. Now there is a new initiative. This one comes from Greenwich University in the UK. They are going to organize a hackathon, and they want us to be part of this hackathon. So very soon I will come with news on the hackathon. So at the moment we are defining the topic, and we are defining as well the format, but very soon I will come with ideas on this hackathon. So this is starting, and I really invite you to propose ideas, because I think that if you want to innovate, this is not only about technology, this is more about people, and we need global education, global activities, global doing. So how we do this, we are doing discussions like this one once a month. We want to do our first congress in November. The topic will be legal education and how to innovate, and probably virtually, because at least Spain is not going to be ready from the pandemic before October, November. So I think that it will again be virtual. Then we want to do activities that you propose, as the ones I mentioned, hackathons, etc. And we have a platform. It has been developed with the technology of HiQ, and this is a platform that will allow you to collaborate, discuss issues, and this week we are holding the first training so that you learn how to use this platform. So these are the main activities. They're all based on the same ideas: exchange of best practices, a global scope, interdisciplinary approach, social responsibility, people-centric technology, collaboration, and innovation. And today's speakers will have, as usually, like a presentation of themselves. Then they will have 6 to 10 minutes for the questions, but we are not rigid, and it's up to them. If we see that they want to talk more and they want to start a long discussion, they can do it. But in around 30 to 45 minutes, we ask you to leave the room to you, the attendees. Then these are our 3 questions. So what is for you a legal tech lab? Why do you consider interesting for a law faculty to set up such a legal tech lab? What are the main benefits? And then finally, what are the tricks for a successful legal tech lab integration in the faculty? So how do you make the faculty, the students, the teachers active and participative in the legal tech lab? So here are our speakers: Alexandra and Dov from Copenhagen University, and Paul Handel representing Valencia University. Dear Alexandra, dear Paul, please, the room is yours.
All right. I'll start. Thanks to my name. Can you hear me? Yes. Okay. Great. So first of all, thank you, Maria, and thank you to the Association of the Innovation in Law Studies for having me. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm very excited to talk to you about the setup or setting up, because it's a process of a legal tech lab. And yeah, just a few words about myself, so to kind of know why I'm talking about these kind of things, and maybe what is the angle from which I'm talking to. So currently I'm an assistant professor of corporate law at Faculty of Law at the University of Copenhagen. In 2 weeks, I'll be associate professor of corporate law, but also of law and technology. And the reason why I'm saying is because over the past, I would say, 5 years, with aside of the corporate law, I've been focusing a lot, both in research and in education, on bringing innovation, technology, and also entrepreneurship into our faculty. And over the past 3 years, we've been heavily discussing setting up a legal tech lab. And it's as I mentioned at the very beginning, it's a process. And at this moment, we are so close, couple months away from announcing it. But there are certain structures and architectures that have been already in place, and I'm happy to talk about them also later on. The second thing that I would like to mention is that over the last decade, I've been working a lot with also the startups. So my angle comes from the startup industry, including the legal tech, but not only on that, including also fintech, regtech, and other kind of disturbing innovations. And aside of that, I sit on different kinds of advisory boards and supervisory boards. And I'll just mention, and you can also see it here, the MIT Computational Law Report, which is an extremely interesting project. And I would all invite you to have a look at it. It consults also the way how to bring more innovation and thought process and critical thinking and number of other things to the law schools, and all of the materials are publicly available. So you're more than free to, and more than welcome to have a look at it. I just stop here, and then, yeah, of course, I'm happy to expand if anyone has any questions, and I just leave the floor to Paul. Thank you.
Thank you, Alexandra. Well, hello, everyone. Thanks for joining. Well, my name is Paul, and I am a co-director at the Legal Tech Lab from the University of Valencia in Spain. We started this project about a year and a half ago, so it's a very new project. I'll tell more details about the lab later in answering the questions. I'm also a adjunct professor of legal tech law in IE Law School in Madrid. I teach a course there that's called Techniques and Technologies of Legal Tech Solutions and Introduction to Legal Technology. And also I am partner at a law firm. It's called Esija. In there, I'm the director of the Legal Tech Consulting Services. Yeah, so I've been working around legal technology for a while ago, and I'm also specializing in artificial intelligence with a focus on knowledge-based systems. And my main interest is learn how to develop projects where you can automate legal reasoning.
Thank you very much, Paul. Thank you very much, Alexandra. So let's start with the first question. Tell us what you think about Legal Tech Labs.
So maybe we can shift it. So I'll start with this one, and Paul, you start with the next one. So it's
sure.
So it's not only me taking the space. Okay. So if I remember correctly, the question was, what is a legal tech lab?
Let me place the questions here on the side. Okay. 1 second. I have to look for the presentation again. 1 second. Wait, because I cannot get out of here. Let me check with my telephone. 1 second, because I don't want to change this and get the spell from the.
But don't worry, I'll just have a quick look on the questions. I think that ultimately, okay. So the first question was about what is a legal tech lab, and I
yes,
think that
was.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So I think that it can be everything and anything, ultimately. But for me, or how I look at it, and of course you're more than welcome to have additional, comments or observations. It's.
One second, please. Por favor, please. There is somebody who has. Somebody has the microphone. Yeah, thank you.
Great, thanks. So it's I would call it a place between a sandbox and a classroom and an innovation center. What do I mean by that? It's a place. Obviously, it can be set up within the university or maybe some other institutions. We can also discuss this point. But within the university, I see it as obviously focused predominantly at the students, but it needs to be very well connected also to the other faculty members and other research institutions and the entire architecture of the faculty. Because otherwise you kind of have it detached and you want to have it very much in the heart of the faculty. The second thing is that it's a place where the collaboration is the key form of work. And I can't really emphasize it strong enough. I think that lawyers over, at least that's how I've been trained, and I think many other lawyers that I know have not necessarily been that well trained in collaborating with other people, whether it's lawyers on one hand side, but also people who come from completely different environments. And I think this is something that we need to focus in, at least also within the education. And then the third part is also a place where interdisciplinarity, and this goes hand in hand with the collaboration comment that I just made, is the modus operandi, and ultimately a place where innovation and curiosity are continuously supported. So of course, these are many buzzwords and keywords, but ultimately, and I think that we will get this also over the next questions, it is the key to kind of consider what kind of lab, so to speak, or hub or sandbox or whatever you want to call it, or even you can establish a new section within the faculty you want to have, and what is the aim for it. And I think that first you need to kind of realize what is the aim. Why do you need such a lab? Is it because you want to change the structure of the education system? It is because you want to create a new place for the research? Is it because you want to be considered now the legal tech kind of driven faculties? I think that these are all the elements that I'm happy to discuss later on, but I do think that first you need to realize what is your aim. And then based on that, reflect on, okay, so how do we do that? And how do we create that? But I think that's another question. So I just leave it now for Paul. Thank you.
Great, Alexandra. Yes, I mean, I have to agree with you in everything. And you said almost everything that there is to say. I mean, in defining a legal tech lab. So I'll try just to add something. Well, and I agree with you in the sense that there's no definition right now at this moment on what a legal tech lab must be. So this will depend on like you're pointing out, Alexandra, is like what does the university or any other organization want? What are the results that they are looking for? And if they see that they'll get this result by starting a legal tech lab, I think that they should build the lab around the results they want, right? I think that an important word for in this definition is the word lab. I mean, it's a laboratory. So something very important, irrespectively of what is the goals that you want, what is the purpose that you need for the lab, it's that it should be always open for failure. I mean, I think that it's a place where it's allowed to fail. It's a place that what you are encouraging is to experiment. So I think that that's a very important part of the definition. Whatever you do in the lab, it needs to be with that spirit, right? So in this sense, I mean, we have been working in the lab in projects, and failing, I mean, and the members where they're trying to do something and not getting it, those are the moments they actually learn, right? So those are the things. I think if you build something very strict or where failure is not allowed, you will lose the whole point of a laboratory. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Paul. So I have a question. Do you need a space to have a lab or not? Do you need a physical space? What do you think?
Oh, well, I think that the case, in our case specifically, we started the lab last year in the midst of all this confinement and lockdown. So we have been actually working for a year and a half, and we have met around 5 times at the most, right? So we have been meeting, working together in projects. We have been developing some applications together. Of course, I mean, the best way to do it is with a physical space, you know, where people meet and everything, but that's not a requirement, right? So I think that that a lab, if it has a focus on international focus, you should be also able to host meetings where people can join from any other place. So yeah, I mean, there are some requirements. I mean, that you don't really you need good computers and good internet connection and everything. But I think that this whole experience of the COVID has helped us understand that some things can be done remotely.
Yeah, I would say that, yes, I would totally agree that some things can be done remotely, but the connection cannot be done remotely. I think that we all kind of feel, at least that's my experience, that, you know, creating meaningful connections through, you know, the camera and online systems and Zoom meetings, it's far less efficient than meeting in person. And I think that the space is elemental. And it doesn't need to be a big space or anything, but it has to be some space that everyone kind of, and also students should feel that there is a space where they can come and they can go, and where they, you know, have open space. It doesn't need to be anyhow, you know, like an office space. It can be creative space, but I would say that space is part of the entire process.
Okay, Alexandra, you mentioned open space. So you think that it has to be an open space. How would you describe an open space?
I would say it's the design of the space also constructs the design of how we collaborate. So I would say that this is one of the things that one should have in mind. So what is it that you want to do? And I think that one of the key things is, as Paul mentioned, is the experimentation, is the collaboration. So you need to design the space in a way that supports this kind of thinking and this kind of cooperation.
At your university, do you have a special space?
We are working on it, but because of the COVID, we've been completely closed down. So,
Paul, what about you? Are you planning to have a space at Valencia University?
Yes, actually, we have a designated space already. So yeah, and I think it's very. I mean, having a physical space is great once all the students are back in the university, because it gives the opportunity for anyone with curiosity just to go there and look what they're working on. So it's. I mean, I think that the having a physical space is important for that reason. And yes, so we are working on that, but we won't use it until everything goes back to normality.
Okay, fantastic. So let's go to question number 2. I already wrote the questions here at the chat on the site. So why do you consider interesting for a law faculty to set up a legal tech lab, and what are the main benefits? So let's talk more about the aim and the why, Alexandra.
So I think, again, this is a very kind of individual process to the faculty. So maybe I'll just say a little bit about the process, how I think those of you who are considering establishing a legal tech lab can approach it, and then I can share with you how we were discussing it at our faculty. So I think one of the ways how to do it is definitely to have an open discussion within the faculty and with the stakeholders that you have, depending, again, you know, I think it will be a different process for a law faculty that has maybe 1,000 students and a small faculty and is somewhere, you know, outside of the capital, and it will be different if it's the largest university or law faculty within the country. So I think that the process might be a bit different. At our faculty, so our faculty is the largest in Denmark, and there has been the general agenda and vision for greater digitalization. So this has been the target of our faculty and the entire university in the past 5 years, probably. And we've been discussing, and there have been different processes and different task forces. And all of you who are within the university sector know that, you know, sometimes it's highly bureaucratic and different kinds of committees are set up and so on. So we went through this process, and at the very beginning we had a so-called digitalization hub, which focus predominantly on the faculty. So focus on the individuals within the faculty. So all of my colleagues would be confident with digitalization, because if you consider it might be to some extent frightening, and you definitely want to create a space where everyone feels welcome and where everyone can start thinking about, okay, you know, I'm not afraid to do this, and I want to do this because there is certain value that it brings to my research and to my students, etc., etc. So I think that was our first step, and the value ultimately for the faculty, I think it's for the students ultimately. If we think, okay, who are our main beneficiaries? Those are the students. And if you realize and look around that how the world has changed over the past year, I think it will just, you know, over the next 10, 15 years, the digitalization is to stay. And we need to prepare them with not only the knowledge of a lawyer, but with a variety of skill sets to be able to carry out their tasks and jobs in the next not only 5, 10 years, but 50 years. And I think that this is the challenging task to foresee what is it going to look like. So we today still are good enough and efficient and, you know, curious and everything in order to help our students to succeed in the years to come.
Okay, interesting goal. What about you, Paul? What are the reasons that have led you to the setting up of the lab?
Yes, I mean, like Alexandra said, this has to do with what you're looking for, what you want. I think that irrespectively of the reasons, a university might have, I mean, specific or subjective reasons. I think that what a lab does to a law faculty is that it brings innovation, it brings a new subject to the students, a new way of seeing law, and I think that's a very important ingredient right now, especially where we can see that now law firms and corporate legal departments are requiring certain type of knowledge to the students on legal tech, right? Because legal tech is now every time, every day, is causing a larger impact in the industry. So students need to be trained at this subject, and so I think that legal tech lab. I mean, you can bring on your syllabus many subjects on legal tech. Teach some things about legal tech. What is legal tech? Definitions or something like that. But I think that it is not until you reach the point of having a lab where you can experiment, you can work on things, you can investigate, make research, collaborations and projects with that. Until that point, I mean, you can only be teaching students like something theoretic that maybe they will not know how to implement when they go in a job position that requires them to have knowledge of legal tech. So I think that legal tech, I mean, I think that tech or the things that are being done in technology, the best way to teach it is hands-on things and doing projects. And so I think that would be a great reason for you to think on opening a legal tech. Yeah. And I think, and also with the experience we're having right now is that because you're applying technology to law, right? Actually the students deal with the legal knowledge that they are acquiring in the other courses in the university and apply technology to it, right? So it's a great point, for example, or great opportunity for the students to actually deepen their knowledge on those areas, right? For example, if you're building an application regarding, I don't know, a commercial agreements, right? So you're maybe automating a commercial agreement, or maybe you are trying to build an expert system for a commercial issue. When you're building that application, when you're working with technology, students must learn and understand more deep those areas, right, of law. So I think that it also reinforces the students' knowledge in general law.
Okay, thank you, Paul. Rai, there is a question of Rai Campbell, but I think we're going to go to our last question, and I think part of this question will be answered. Rai has still some doubts about the resources that are necessary to set up a lab. He is asking about space, he's asking about human resources, also about software needs, etc. So maybe we can answer his question through the answering of the last one. What are the tricks for a successful legal tech lab? So what do you need to create a successful one? What are the resources? And we can try to answer right. So Alexander, do you want to start again, or do you want maybe to start, Paul?
As you wish.
Well, I think that if you want, I can start with it. I think that you definitely need curious students. I mean, first you need to develop that curiosity to students, because you need people, right? Yeah. So the lab it's composed of people, and the students that are going to be part of the lab are the most important part of it. So I think that raising curiosity on this subject is like an elemental thing to do, to actually try to gather the attention of those that will then form part of the lab. So the better people you have, the better the lab will work. And I think that also, of course, you need someone that knows about what you're going to do. I've seen universities, for example, hire experts in legal tech to direct the lab. I mean, that's happening a lot. And it'll depend on what you want the lab for. For example, if you want the lab for doing research, so you'll have to spot someone that has those type of knowledge. If you want a more technical lab, then you'll have to hire someone that has that knowledge. And then I think also something that has worked a lot for us is partnering with other organizations, right? You cannot be working alone, so you need to partner with organizations like this one, where you can meet other people that's doing the same, where you can have ideas, know what others are working on, and also with technology vendors. For example, if you are looking for working on certain type of technology, I mean, I think right now we're in a point where I think many or most of the legal tech vendors are open to collaborate with academic institutions. So this is a great moment to reach out to them and tell them about your project, and see what ways you can work together. How can they help? So I think that having those type of partnerships is very important also.
Thank you, Paul. They're asking us, I say this because maybe you want to answer to the question, what types of legal technology are currently being focused on? So I guess they want to know the kind of legal tech vendors you are working with, but maybe you want to answer to it, and maybe Alexandra want to first give us her views on the resources and the tricks, and then we can answer the second question.
Okay, thank you. So yes, so I think that the trick, there are three elements, I would say, and some of them have been mentioned by Paul. And the first one is you need to find the right person to lead this. And as Paul mentioned just a second ago, is that some law schools are looking for legal tech experts. And again, it depends what is the purpose of the lab, but I would suggest that you want a person who has collaboration in their blood. So you want someone who is able to bring different scholars, different professors, different stakeholders from the entire ecosystem together, who has had and shown this kind of personality track over the past period. So for instance, I found before we started to discuss the Legal Tech Lab at our faculty, we already had the ecosystem. We had courses where students were working with different kinds of startups, including legal tech startups. I have been organizing different kinds of workshops for, again, legal tech vendors. We had conferences on legal tech and technology and trust, a number of things. So you want this kind of puzzle or mosaic for the better kind of be in place, and then someone who either can bring it all together or then manage it. But as to the question in regard to the human resources from Ray, I think this is not enough, because this is a person who can lead it and who has the vision and strategy, but you need, and the lawyers are not necessarily good, and academic even worse, a project manager. And I think to have a good project manager is also a good thing. So you need at least these two people, and then you can build it on the students who you can introduce thanks to different kinds of courses that you are bringing in over a period of time, and kind of build them to come in and work with you later on, whether it's, you know, through master theses or projects or anything that you kind of envision within the lab. So team is one of the main tricks, I think, how to do well the legal tech lab. The second is the architecture, in the sense that you should not start and have huge eyes and, you know, come in and want to put down maybe 300,000 euros or more. You can start small. You really don't need much at the very beginning, and kind of build in the vision for the lab, and with a continuous collaboration with the other people, because that's exactly what the lab needs to be, right? It needs to be this collaboration. And the third element is, and this is it was also very well said by Paul, is bringing the partners. I think one should not forget the local partners, which, you know, for instance, also advisory boards can be a good idea, even though, you know, again, another board or committee, but they can give you an insight what is happening on the market, if what the law firms want, what do they focus on, and so on. And I think this is extremely important if you want to have a lab that is reflective to the market movements and market needs. And the second is international, whether it's, you know, organization like this, or there are some others, or collaboration between the labs. I think this is the next thing that is going to happen more and more, that there will be kind of the setups and collaboration between the legal tech labs across. And then just quickly, maybe answer Hannah when it comes to legal technology. I think you just take whatever is there and take it from the surroundings. I think that this relationship between the university and the startup environment, and that thus many legal tech labs will become successful if there is already some startup kind of consortium and they can help one another. We've seen, I think that 5 years ago, if we went to any startup event in Copenhagen, you might have seen 1 or 2 legal tech companies. These days, you see a lot more. And we have had a couple of legal tech companies that, you know, have been invested by Google Ventures and a number of large investment funds and venture capital firms. So I think that the ecosystem is extremely important, and universities should be at the very heart of it. And I'll just end here with saying, if you look around, where you have successful, innovative systems is where you have successful universities, and the universities who kind of foster this collaboration starting at the universities, whether it's Stanford, MIT, you know, and many other places, Oxford, and so on. And I think that this needs to be somehow in the back of your mind when you're creating all of this.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you, Alexandra, and definitely. I mean, in respect to the technologies, like Alexandra said, it's look for what is available and start working with it. I mean, there are different type of technologies that are being used right now in the legal tech field. So if you are new in the legal tech lab arena, you might start with the most simple technologies. I mean, there are more complex technologies that will require more expertise to start working with. And also try to look for technologies that require the less coding, the better, because normally law students don't know how to code or how to use those type of tools. So actually, there are many technologies that are offering no code or low code solutions. So that way, lawyers can actually play around with the technology, doing very, 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 I mean, doing great things without having the burden to learn how to code. And because this is like something that has kept lawyers from experimenting with technology, is the impossibility for them to communicate with the computer. So having these tools help you a lot. And yes, so I would suggest trying simple technologies first and then move forward for more complex things.
Okay, I have several questions for you. Alexandra, you were mentioning the team, people, and you mentioned the students, the leader, the project manager, and the team leader. But what about the teachers? How do you involve them? What are their role in the lab? Do you invite them to be part of the lab? So that's one question. It's for both of you. Then a lot of people are asking about technology and how to introduce technology, but there are other things that are important. For instance, data, because this is not only about technology, it's about data and it's about people's skills. So do you do things related to data? Do you do things related to people's skills? Because, and this is not a question, it's my point of view. I think we should not confuse a lab with a, let's say, Academy of Legal Tech. I think that these are completely different things. And I think a lab should be a lab. And I like very much what you said, Paul. I think it should be a place to experience. It should be a place to do hands-on activities. So to really touch the tech, to really touch the data, to really understand the ingredients behind legal technology projects. And I think that that's the difference between a lab and, let's say, classes or conferences or this kind of stuff, which should be happening, but are, in my opinion, should not be the central mission of the lab. But that's my personal opinion. So if you want to comment on that, the first question is, how do you involve the rest of the teachers? If you have to involve them, maybe not. And secondly, how do you, how can you work with data? How can you work in skills?
Okay, so I think to the first question, I think it's again a process, and as I mentioned at the very beginning, I think this is the recruitment or collaboration starts even before you set up the lab. So you need to be, it needs to come obviously from the management. There needs to be clear communication as to, okay, what is the vision, and have as many people on board. Most presumably, the reality will be that you will have some people on board, which is a good thing. Some universities might have faced the fact that they might have no one who would want to take the lead in this, but you might have some people. And I think that, again, if you have a person who is very collaborative and is able to bring people on, at least in Copenhagen, I think on the research level, the research takes place irrespective of the lab. So, for instance, there are a number of projects ongoing for the past, I would say, 3 more, maybe even more years on research connected to blockchain, cryptocurrencies, natural language processing, number of things, AI, data, you name it. So that is happening. However, you need to look at it from their perspective. Okay, what is in for them, right? Because this is the as easy as it gets. Is it easier access to the tech? Is it easier access to new innovation? Is it easier access to the students? So obviously there are certain incentive mechanisms that you can bring in to incentivize people to collaborate. But this needs to come also from the management, from the top. And as to, the skills, I think that the skill set is extremely relevant for the future lawyers and for our current students. And yes, we work with the data, and I have several courses where certain groups of the classes are offered by computer scientists. So it is within the law, but there are certain skill set where it's even, so my theory or my hypothesis that I'm having and trying to support over the years is that it's not necessarily about the fact that the lawyer should know how to code. I think that's too much. But I think that the lawyer needs to understand how the coding works, how the data works, how do you scrape the data, what do you use the data for, why the algorithms have biases, and what can you do in the design to kind of get rid of it, and so on. And I think that it's a kind of a translation between different worlds and languages, and this is what my kind of main aim with my students is to teach them different languages, to teach them how to collaborate with the tech people, you know, whether it's, again, blockchain architect or someone else, so they understand what they're saying. That because often you see that, you know, everyone speaks about whatever their specialties. It also happens in law, but it also happens in the interdisciplinary world. So this is the focus to build the bridges so people can understand, and that's the reason why you can and should invite, you know, computer scientists or data scientists and anyone else.
Yeah, I mean, you made a great point over there that, we haven't spoken about it before, is that making this connection between the computer science department of the university, for example, and the law department is great. I mean, having them working together on projects it's we haven't done it yet in our lab, but I have seen many results on universities or labs that are combining this, and the results are great because both parties get learn, right? Computer scientists always are eager to learn where can they apply things, the things they're learning, and I think that because technology is impacting most of the areas of law, you will have some type of use of technology, for example, in civil law or in litigation or in commercial law or in criminal law. So there's also always things that you can do with all the other professors at the university that, although they're not interested per se in technology, they'll be interested in knowing how technology is impacting their field, right? So for example, if there are these type of applications that are coming out to the market, that, for example, in tax law, we see applications like TurboTax in the United States that have done amazing things, and I mean, there are millions of people now preparing their tax returns through TurboTax. And so, I mean, a tax law professor will be very interested in how this technology is built, right? How is that impacting their field? So you can do, I think, you can do projects. I think that one great idea is to make like internal hackathons where students would try to figure out a concrete application of technology to all different types of areas of law, and you'll get their attention. And I think that right now there's a lot of buzz around, a lot of hype around technology. So the normal thing that will happen is that once the other professors learn that there's a legal tech lab at the university, they'll just go there and try to understand what you're doing. And also a good thing also that has worked is that while you're doing projects, you can say, for example, we're going to do this project in criminal law. So you try to get the involvement of the professors, for example, in the criminal law department, for them to help the students understand the law around the technology they're trying to build, right? And so, I mean, that's a good idea. That's to get other people involved. And the second question, I mean, I think that it'll depend on the type of project you're working. I mean, data is, you use a lot of data when you're trying to, for example, train a machine learning model to understand certain patterns. So you need data, you need quality data. And this is something that's very difficult to get right now, although there are great out-of-the-box algorithms that already have some training under the hood before you can use it, and you can train these algorithms with much fewer data than before. still it's very difficult to get good data. And actually working with data there, it's a great thing to put students to work on the lab, because when you try to teach an algorithm, a machine learning model, for example, something about commercial agreements, right? So you need a lot of commercial contracts. You need to tag those commercial contracts. You need to clean the data. You need to work a lot with the data. And in this case, data it's legal things, right? You can be working with judgments from courts. You can be working with contracts. You could be working with anything that actually the students know to deal with, right? Because they're studying law. So if you're, for example, training an algorithm to extract information from a contract, from different clauses like terms, parties, so you need to work with that data, and that's a good thing for the students to work on. And so yes, you need to get the data. You need to get access to that data, and that's a challenge right now. And secondly, I think that not everything is data, and when you have a project, for example, that you don't have enough data to work on, there's also this other field in legal tech that's more based on knowledge representation. So in knowledge representation, you actually don't train anything to understand patterns, so you don't need data. What you need is to represent knowledge to the program, and this type of representation, definitely students are learning the legal aspects, the rules that they will then represent in these programs. So learning that the different techniques were to represent this law, because there are different approaches to representing this law, these rules in ways that computers can actually understand, right? So working with that also, it gives you a lot of opportunity when you don't have enough data to do things.
If you agree, I think that now it's time to leave the room to the rest of the audience and open the discussion. You can put your videos on, you can open your microphones, and you can give your views. It's possible that some of you are already running or managing or building a legal tech lab, and we would love to hear your experience, your questions, your comments. So please take the room. If there are many people who want to talk, I will give you a priority. I will tell you who can talk. So please, anybody wants to intervene?
I mean, I would like to know if anyone present in the room has, for example, experience already working with a legal tech lab. That would be great to know. What have been their challenges, or if they are planning to do so, what are their main challenges in starting it?
So Inigo, from ICADE, you are there, and I think that at the university you are doing some kind of lab activities. Would you like to share with us what you are doing?
Well, what we are really doing is we had an observatory of legal tech. Well, at the beginning, it was an observatory of legal and fintech that led to create the first blockchain net in Spain, which is Alastria. And this is something wonderful and quite strange, because this blockchain net was born in a law school, which is not normal, but it was born there. And afterwards, now we have an observatory in legal tech that is at the beginning. So we're beginning with it. What we do have is a lot of committed students that are very interested in these fields, and we have a double degree that is law and business analytics. So all the students of law and business analytics, they are all of them. They want to do things in the field of legal tech. And we have it's a kind of a startup warmness. Don't know so how to, where we gather all these students and they have creative ideas and all this, and they try to have a startup. Of course, they all want to be millionaires in the next couple of months. probably won't be possible, but that's what we have. More startups, focus, and things like this. In the field of Legal Tech Lab, I think it's been very interesting what you have said, and I will go to my team and I will try to set something like this in my university, because I think it's been very interesting. We do have a space, we have students, we have lecturers and professors, so we'll try to do it. I came here to learn, so thank you very much. And thank you very much for your speeches. They have been very inspiring. Thank you.
Thank you, Inigo.
Inigo.
Would anyone else tell us about their experience? So Christopher, I like your comment. He would like to get involved in one his university. Hi, Chris, how are you doing?
Hi, yeah, sorry for my scruffy appearance. I've
Don't
forgotten
worry,
to check my
don't
hair
worry.
before I
Now you're
put the
super
camera on.
handsome, don't worry.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. No, I was just saying. So the university I work at, BPP, is a private university in the UK, and we train future barristers and solicitors. So the focus of the university is purely on practical training for lawyers. So we do. I mean, I'm involved in putting together our legal technology courses and programs. You know, the skill side, but there's no way in a million years that we would ever do a lab. But then, having said that, I think it's really interesting. Up the road from me at Manchester University, they're doing something similar, and certainly an initiative. Maybe it's not quite a lab yet, but there's industry working with with academics, so it's a good start. But I just thought it was really interesting, and in particular Alexandra's explanation of how it assists the students, the future lawyers, whoever it is, that kind of getting the idea that you don't have to go and learn to code to be in legal tech, and I certainly can't, and I've been in it for a few years. It's more about getting that mindset of collaboration and the ability to work with other people who do know how to code or and thinking in different ways. So that's my very long-winded way of saying I think it's very exciting, and I think that this Paul and Alexandra today were excellent insight, excellent speakers. I'll switch my camera off now.
Thanks, Christopher.
Thank you.
Do my hair.
I'm curious. What are you teaching in these courses on legal tech courses that you have set up in the university?
So we've done. We've got the way I won't bore you with the detail, but the way solicitors are training is changing, quite a lot in the UK at the moment. Similar to in Spain, I think when you introduced the Access Masters some years ago, there was like a huge change in how lawyers qualify. So we're going to have sort of far more freedom in our postgraduate courses to put in all kinds of things: commercial awareness, business, tech, innovation, those sorts of things. At the moment, I run a course called Legal Tech Innovation and Design, and it's an introduction using a case study, an online program that lets students find out, who of course know nothing about legal tech, maybe find out a bit about legal design, innovation, some of the tools that are out there. So yeah, it's just a sort of introductory, but not tested with an exam. It's people post things on forums, and they write a kind of reflective statement. I don't want to give students are doing it voluntarily, so I don't want to give them any more work or any more exams to do. I just want them to kind of enjoy themselves and kind of get into it. And this is part of my I live in Manchester now, so it's part of my kind of, there's a few firms here doing a lot around legal tech, and various universities are doing things. So it's part of my kind of pushing at least some students to get involved in this. But yeah, I can send you some of the details of the sort of stuff we're doing at the moment. A lot of it's not, you know, not built yet, so it's even one of the things we're going to do is offer a kind of master's route, innovation master's route, that lets students basically pick what they want and run a project themselves. It'd be like their own mini lab or working with their colleagues, you know. That's quite exciting.
It's really nice. I mean, the UK is one of the countries that is more in the most forefront of legal technology, and you have great startups coming out there from UK with great products, and you have great universities also offering very interesting legal tech studies. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a few. I think so. Swansea University seems to be quite, you know, big, but you know, is recruiting loads of you know, researchers and academics.
Right. Yes.
And there's a few. There's obviously quite a few businesses and a few big accelerators. The law firms, of course, are really kind of racing. You know, well, I suppose Barclays Bank as well. You know, Mishcon de Reya, Clifford Chance. They're all the big law firms. I'm trying to drag it a little bit away from London and try and keep legal tech in the north of England a little bit. But yeah, it's quite an exciting time to be in this area.
But 2 weeks ago, there was this research that said that Manchester is a sort of a hub for legal tech. I don't know if you read it, but there was this research that was pointing exactly.
Yeah, I think Maria Susi, I think you're right. It's all due to me, of course. no, it's basically, I say that the University of Manchester has pushed it now for a few years, and they introduced Neotologic provided a module for them. So they got in very early. They didn't really have to build anything themselves. And then they've got this thing called the Law and Tech Initiative. On the BPP side, we basically, you know, I sort of turned up there and said, we need to do something in this area, and other universities are doing. But you've got law firms like DWF, which has its kind of own lab. It's at DWF Ventures. You've got a few startups like LinkApp and Flex and various others. Adelshaw Goddard run their legal tech from there. So you've got and of course, you know, we use the expression North Shoring. You know, Manchester's a lot cheaper to run things in than London. So so why not set up your technology, you know, your not your poorly paid people, but why not make sure that you can sort of pay people a little bit less than you'd have to in London. So yeah, I think it's quite, I mean, you know, Manchester's never going to be like London, but it's quite I'm obviously quite proud of the city, and it seems to be doing some good stuff in this area.
Okay, are there any more questions? Because if there are not so many, we probably can now end up with some conclusions. So last 2 questions, if there are. And if not, I will ask our speakers to give us a very nice sentence, Twitter style, to close their intervention so that we can use it for our summary of today's webinar. So no more questions, I think. So Alexandra, do you want to give us your final sentence?
Now you brought on more stress, I think.
Don't worry.
In a sense, you know, this is the moment you need to say something smart.
Okay, they don't say anything. Don't worry. If you are not ready.
No, I think that the only kind of maybe conclusory, in a sense, remarks would be to really start, if as a faculty, including all of the researchers and the management, you decide to set up the legal tech. I think that the starting point is to reflect on the entire education system. So what kind of course, and build it from this side. So start building it, also to speak, from this side. I think that even if the BPP, yes, Christopher mentioned is not necessarily focus on that, but having a solid base of courses is definitely supporting the content of such a lab. And the second, have the right team in place and combine again different kind of qualities and competencies within the team. So maybe this is the takeaway. For any kind of legal tech lab, have the right team in place and support it from, you know, management. Yeah.
Okay. Paul, do you want to give us your conclusions?
Yes, I think I've read in several studies that the predictions for law is that, and this is a way of saying what is happening and what should be happening, is that everything that can be automated in law should be automated and will be automated in the coming years. So universities have to get ready for this when it happens. And I think that that's the main point of working with technology. I mean, improving the way we deliver legal services and we consume and the users consume legal services. And the whole point of technology is, to me, one of the most important points of technology is automation. So having that in mind, that things will be automated, and the things that should be automated will be automated at some point, should give us enough reasons to start experimenting on the best ways to reach that.
Okay. So thank you so much to both of you. My take-offs from today's webinar is that a lab depends on a good team. This good team should have a leader, project managers, students, and involve the university, the rest of the teachers in it somehow. It is not so much a question of money, but having a place, a location, a physical space helps. The lab should focus in collaboration, not only within the university, but also with local partners, like, for instance, vendors. The goals can be different, but they have to be, let's say, defined strategically. And you can do it because we have two great examples today of labs that exist. So I invite Chris to keep on trying, because he might end up having his Manchester Legal Tech Lab. We thank you all for having accompanied today, once again, discussing and reflecting on how to change and transform legal education. And we invite you to join us in our upcoming webinar. We will send you the invitation very soon, and we are going to talk in the next one on should lawyers or legal professionals learn to program or not? So coding or not coding, that's the question. Join us, please, like in a month. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Alexandra. Good luck in your fantastic venture. Thank you, Paul. Good luck in your beautiful project. And thank you all for being here. We will record this, we will make a video, we will make an infography with the conclusions, and we will diffuse this information through the social networks and our subscription list. Join ILSA and help us to spread the word. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a nice evening.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.